Maybe tonight you carry burdens that feel too heavy for your shoulders. Your mind races with thoughts that won't quiet down. Your heart aches with worries that seem to multiply in the darkness, and sleep feels like a distant dream. But what if I told you that this very moment right now could be the turning point? What if tonight could be different from every restless night you've endured before? You didn't stumble upon this message by accident. Something deeper is at work here. While others toss and turn, battling their fears alone, you're about to discover a truth that changes everything. You're about to learn why going to bed unblessed is robbing you of the peace that rightfully belongs to you. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share with you isn't just another bedtime routine or relaxation technique. This is about tapping into a power that transforms your entire night, that shields your mind from the chaos, and that wraps you in a blanket of divine protection while you rest. This is about understanding why the enemy fights hardest when your defenses are down, and how you can turn your bedroom into a sanctuary of unshakable peace. Tonight, everything changes. Tonight, you stop being a victim of restless thoughts and anxious dreams. Tonight, you claim the peaceful sleep that has been promised to you. Before we go any deeper, I need you to understand something crucial. Most people approach bedtime completely defenseless. They shut off their phones, turn off the lights, and essentially surrender 8 hours of their lives to whatever thoughts, fears, or spiritual attacks want to invade their minds. They go to bed unblessed, unprotected, and then wonder why they wake up exhausted, discouraged, or filled with dread. But you're different. You're here because something inside you knows there's a better way. You're here because you refuse to accept another night of turmoil as normal. And you're absolutely right to feel that way, because peaceful sleep isn't a luxury reserved for a chosen few. It's your birthright. What I'm about to reveal to you has been tested by countless souls who were once exactly where you are now. People who couldn't remember the last time they woke up truly refreshed. People whose minds were battlegrounds of worry and fear the moment their heads hit the pillow. People who felt spiritually vulnerable and emotionally drained night after night. But here's what changed everything for them, and what's about to change everything for you. They discovered the power of going to bed blessed. They learned that there are specific words, specific declarations, and specific spiritual practices that create an impenetrable shield around your sleep. They found out that blessing your rest isn't just a nice idea. It's a necessity for anyone who wants to wake up victorious instead of defeated. Think about it this way. You wouldn't leave your house unlocked at night, would you? You wouldn't leave your car running with the doors open in a dangerous neighborhood. Yet somehow, we've been conditioned to believe that leaving our minds and spirits unprotected during sleep is perfectly normal. That's not normal. That's negligent. Your sleep is sacred time. It's when your body heals, when your mind processes the day, and when your spirit is most open to divine communication. But it's also when you're most vulnerable to attacks on your peace, your confidence, and your hope for tomorrow. The enemy knows this, which is why the battle for your rest is so intense. But tonight, we're ending that battle once and for all. Tonight, you're learning how to sleep like someone who knows they're protected, loved, and destined for victory. Tonight, you're discovering what it means to rest in complete peace, knowing that divine forces are working on your behalf while you sleep. Now let me paint a picture for you. Imagine laying your head on your pillow tonight knowing, without a shadow of doubt, that you are completely covered. Imagine your mind naturally quieting down because it knows it's safe. Imagine drifting off to sleep with a smile on your face instead of worry in your heart. Imagine waking up refreshed, energized, and ready to conquer whatever challenges await you. That's not a fantasy. That's what happens when you understand the power of blessing your sleep. That's what happens when you refuse to go to bed unblessed ever again. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think blessing their sleep means mumbling a few quick words and hoping for the best. They think it's about saying some generic prayer they learned as a child and calling it good. That approach is like trying to protect your house with a paper lock. It looks like you're doing something, but it's not going to stop anything determined to get through. Real blessing, the kind that creates genuine peace and protection, is intentional. It's specific. It's backed by faith and spoken with authority. It's not begging or hoping. It's declaring and decreeing. It's not asking if maybe, possibly, you could have a decent night's sleep. It's boldly claiming the peaceful rest that already belongs to you. And that's exactly what you're about to learn. Not just what to pray, but how to pray it with the kind of conviction that moves mountains and silences storms. Not just what words to speak, but how to speak them with the authority of someone who knows their worth and their rights. You see, the reason so many people struggle with sleep isn't just physical or emotional, it's spiritual. There's a war being fought for your mind, your peace, and your destiny. And one of the primary battlegrounds is your sleep. When you go to bed unblessed, you're essentially showing up to a spiritual battle unarmed. But when you learn to bless your sleep properly, everything changes. You're not just hoping for a good night, you're commanding it. You're not just wishing for peaceful dreams, you're decreeing them. You're not just trying to avoid nightmares, you're establishing divine protection that makes them impossible. This isn't about religion or denomination. This isn't about following someone else's rules or traditions. This is about understanding spiritual laws that work regardless of your background. This is about tapping into power that transcends human understanding and human limitations. And here's what's beautiful about it. The moment you start applying what you're about to learn, you'll feel the difference. Not tomorrow, not next week, but tonight. The peace that settles over you will be unlike anything you've experienced. The quality of your sleep will improve dramatically. The way you wake up will be completely transformed. But it doesn't stop there. When you consistently go to bed blessed, protected, and at peace, it changes how you approach every aspect of your life. You wake up with more confidence because you've experienced divine protection all night long. You face challenges with more courage because you know you're not fighting alone. You carry yourself with more authority because you've been reminded of your true identity while you slept. This is why the enemy fights so hard for your sleep. He knows that when you truly rest in divine peace, you become unstoppable during the day. He knows that peaceful sleep produces powerful people. He knows that when you sleep blessed, you wake up dangerous to his plans. So tonight, we're not just improving your sleep, we're revolutionizing your entire life. We're taking back territory that was stolen from you. We're reclaiming the peace that is rightfully yours. We're establishing patterns of victory that will impact every area of your existence. But before we dive into the specific prayers and declarations that will transform your nights, I need you to understand something about your current situation. If you've been struggling with sleep, if your nights have been filled with anxiety and restlessness, that's not your fault. You weren't given the tools you needed. You weren't taught how to protect your sleep. You weren't shown how to create the kind of spiritual environment that naturally produces peace. But that ends tonight. Tonight, you're getting the tools you need. Tonight, you're learning the strategies that work. Tonight, you're discovering how to create an atmosphere around your sleep that attracts blessing and repels everything that would disturb your peace. And here's what I want you to remember as we continue. You deserve peaceful sleep. You deserve to wake up refreshed and energized. You deserve nights free from worry and fear. This isn't too much to ask for. It's the minimum standard for how your sleep should be. The fact that you're here, reading these words, tells me that you're ready for change. It tells me that you're tired of accepting restless nights as normal. It tells me that there's something inside you that knows you were created for better than what you've been experiencing. That something inside you is right. You were created for peaceful sleep. You were designed to rest in complete security. You were meant to wake up feeling blessed, not stressed. And starting tonight, that's exactly what's going to happen. Because you're about to discover the power of specific prayers that create unshakable peace. You're about to learn declarations that build walls of protection around your sleep. You're about to understand how to speak with the kind of authority that commands your circumstances instead of being controlled by them. Your nights of restless tossing and turning are coming to an end. Your days of waking up exhausted and defeated are numbered. Your season of going to bed unblessed and unprotected is officially over. Tonight marks the beginning of a new chapter in your life. A chapter where sleep becomes a source of strength instead of struggle. A chapter where your bedroom becomes a sanctuary instead of a battlefield. A chapter where you rest like someone who knows they're deeply loved and completely protected. Are you ready to discover what it truly means to sleep in peace? Are you ready to learn how to bless your sleep so powerfully that worry has no choice but to flee? Are you ready to transform not just your nights, but your entire life? Then let's continue, because what you're about to learn will change everything. The specific prayers I'm about to share with you have the power to create the kind of peace you've been longing for. But more than that, they'll teach you how to approach sleep with the confidence of someone who knows they're covered by divine protection. The first thing you must understand about blessing your sleep is that it's not about following a formula or reciting empty words. It's about recognizing the spiritual authority that has been placed within you. When you speak blessing over your sleep, you're not asking permission from the universe or hoping that maybe something good will happen. You're exercising dominion over your own rest, claiming what already belongs to you. Most people approach bedtime prayers like they're making a request to a distant deity who might or might not be listening. They whisper tentative words into the darkness, hoping someone up there will take pity on them and grant them a few hours of decent sleep. That's not blessing. That's begging. And begging produces the kind of weak, uncertain energy that attracts more chaos instead of peace. When you truly bless your sleep, you speak with the confidence of someone who knows their worth. You declare peace over your mind because you understand that peace is your natural state. You command rest for your body because you recognize that rest is your divine right. You establish protection around your dreams because you know that you are valuable enough to be protected. This shift in mindset changes everything. Instead of lying in bed, hoping that tonight might be different, you lie down knowing that tonight will be different because you've made it so. Instead of crossing your fingers and wishing for peaceful dreams, you've already decreed that peace is the only thing allowed in your sleep. But here's where it gets really powerful. When you consistently bless your sleep with this kind of authority, you start to notice that the problems that used to keep you awake at night begin to resolve themselves during the day. The relationships that caused you stress start improving. The financial concerns that made you toss and turn begin finding solutions. The health issues that filled your nights with worry start showing signs of healing. This isn't coincidence. This is what happens when you align your sleep with divine order. When you rest in peace, you wake up with divine downloads of wisdom and strategy. When you sleep blessed, you rise with supernatural insight into the challenges you're facing. When you protect your dreams, you receive prophetic glimpses of the victories that are coming your way. Your sleep becomes a time of restoration, not just for your body, but for your entire life. While your conscious mind rests, your spirit connects with infinite wisdom. While your physical self recovers, your soul receives instructions for the next day's battles. While your emotions settle into peace, your future begins organizing itself around the blessing you've spoken. This is why protecting your sleep is so crucial. It's not just about feeling rested in the morning, though that's certainly part of it. It's about creating the spiritual conditions that allow divine intervention to work in your life, while you're unconscious to interfere with it. Think about it. During the day, your logical mind wants to figure everything out. Your emotions want to react to every situation. Your ego wants to control every outcome. But when you sleep blessed and protected, all of those human limitations step aside, and supernatural solutions can flow freely into your circumstances. The woman who goes to bed blessed often wakes up with clarity about the relationship decision she's been struggling with for months. The man who protects his sleep frequently receives breakthrough ideas for his business while he dreams. The parent who speaks peace over their rest consistently finds that family conflicts resolve more easily and children become more cooperative. This isn't magic, it's spiritual law. When you create the right conditions through blessing your sleep, you align yourself with forces that are infinitely more powerful and wise than your conscious mind could ever be. But let me be crystal clear about something. This doesn't mean you become passive about your problems or expect everything to be solved without any effort on your part. What it means is that you wake up each morning with supernatural assistance for whatever you need to face. You rise with divine strategy instead of human confusion. You start each day connected to infinite resources instead of limited by your own understanding. The prayers I'm about to share with you are designed to create exactly these conditions. They're not just words to help you fall asleep faster, though they will certainly do that. They're declarations that establish spiritual authority over your entire night and set up divine intervention in your circumstances. Now, before we dive into the specific prayers, I want to address something that might be holding you back. Some of you have tried praying before bed in the past, and it didn't seem to make much difference. Some of you have spoken positive affirmations or repeated mantras, and your sleep didn't improve significantly. Some of you might even be thinking that this sounds too good to be true. I understand that skepticism, and honestly, it's probably healthy. You've been disappointed before. You've tried things that promised to change your sleep, and they didn't deliver. You've been let down by approaches that sounded promising, but produced minimal results. But here's what was likely missing from those previous attempts. You weren't addressing the spiritual dimension of your sleep struggles. You were treating the symptoms instead of the root cause. You were trying to fix a spiritual problem with purely physical or mental solutions. Most sleep issues that persist, despite good sleep hygiene habits, have spiritual roots. The racing thoughts that keep you awake aren't just the result of too much caffeine or a busy day. They're often the result of spiritual attack, designed to wear you down and weaken your effectiveness. The anxiety that grips you when your head hits the pillow isn't just stress from your circumstances. It's frequently fear being amplified by forces that want to see you fail. The nightmares that jolt you awake aren't just your subconscious processing the day's events. They're often deliberate attempts to torment your spirit and rob you of the restoration you need. The restlessness that has you tossing and turning all night isn't just physical discomfort. It's usually spiritual warfare being waged against your peace. When you understand this spiritual dimension and address it properly, everything changes. When you speak with authority over the spiritual forces affecting your sleep, when you establish divine protection around your rest, when you declare peace over your mind and body with absolute conviction, you're dealing with the real source of the problem. And that's when you see real results. Not just slightly better sleep, but completely transformed nights. Not just a little less anxiety, but supernatural peace that passes all understanding. Not just fewer nightmares, but dreams filled with hope and divine revelation. The prayers you're about to learn operate on this spiritual level. They don't just ask for better sleep, they command it. They don't just hope for peaceful dreams, they decree them. They don't just wish for protection, they establish it with unshakable authority. But here's what makes these prayers even more powerful. They're not just about your individual sleep. When you consistently bless your sleep with this level of spiritual authority, it creates a ripple effect that impacts everyone around you. Your family begins sleeping more peacefully. Your home becomes filled with an atmosphere of rest and tranquility. Even your pets and plants seem to thrive in the blessed environment you're creating. This is because spiritual authority doesn't operate in isolation. When you establish peace in your personal space, that peace radiates outward. When you create protection around your own sleep, that protection extends to cover those you love. When you speak blessing over your rest, that blessing influences the entire atmosphere of your home. Children sleep more soundly in homes where parents consistently bless their sleep. Marriages grow stronger when both spouses prioritize spiritual protection over their rest. Even finances seem to flow more smoothly in households where sleep is treated as sacred and protected accordingly. This might sound impossible, but remember, you're dealing with spiritual laws that transcend physical limitations. Just as one person's negative energy can affect an entire room, one person's spiritual authority can transform an entire household. Just as fear is contagious, so is divinely established peace. So when you learn to bless your sleep properly, you're not just changing your own nights, you're becoming a source of peace and protection for everyone in your sphere of influence. You're creating an environment where supernatural rest becomes normal for your entire family. The specific prayers I'm about to share with you are designed with all of this in mind. They address every aspect of spiritual sleep protection. They establish peace in your mind, rest in your body, protection around your dreams, and blessing over your entire night. They speak to the spiritual forces that might be disrupting your sleep and command them to cease their interference. More importantly, they teach you how to speak with the kind of authority that produces immediate results. They show you how to declare truth over your circumstances instead of merely hoping things will improve. They demonstrate how to exercise spiritual dominion over your sleep instead of being victimized by whatever thoughts or fears want to torment you. But before we begin with the actual prayers, I need you to prepare your heart and mind. This isn't just an intellectual exercise or a desperate attempt to try something new. This is a spiritual transaction where you're taking back authority over an area of your life that may have been under attack for far too long. I want you to find a quiet place where you can focus without interruption. Turn off your phone, eliminate distractions, and create an atmosphere of reverence for what you're about to do. This isn't casual conversation. This is spiritual warfare disguised as bedtime prayers. Take a few deep breaths and center yourself in the truth of who you are. You are not a victim of circumstances beyond your control. You are not powerless against the forces that have been stealing your sleep. You are not destined to endure restless nights for the rest of your life. You are someone with spiritual authority. You are someone whose words carry weight in the spiritual realm. You are someone who has the right and the power to establish peace in your own life. You are someone who deserves to sleep in complete tranquility and wake up fully restored. Feel that truth settling into your spirit. Let it replace any doubt or discouragement you might be carrying. Allow it to build confidence in your heart about what you're about to do. This isn't just positive thinking. This is spiritual reality. You have been given authority over your own life, including your sleep. You have been equipped with everything you need to create the peaceful nights you've been longing for. You have been empowered to speak blessing and protection over your rest with absolute confidence. Now, as we move into the specific prayers that will transform your sleep, I want you to remember that these aren't just words on a page. These are spiritual weapons designed to demolish every force that has been stealing your peace. These are declarations of war against everything that has been robbing you of rest. These are decrees that establish divine order in an area of your life that may have been chaotic for far too long. When you speak these prayers, speak them with conviction. When you declare these truths, declare them with authority. When you establish these boundaries, establish them with unshakable confidence. Your sleep is about to become a sanctuary of peace, and nothing will ever be the same. The power you're about to unleash through these prayers will astound you. But first, you need to understand that every word you speak over your sleep carries the force of creation itself. When you declare peace, peace must manifest. When you command rest, rest has no choice but to obey. When you establish protection, that protection becomes an impenetrable fortress around your slumber. This isn't wishful thinking or positive psychology. This is spiritual law in action. The same power that spoke the universe into existence lives within you, and when you learn to channel that power toward your sleep, miracles become your new normal. Nights that once felt like battlegrounds transform into sanctuaries. Hours that were stolen by worry and fear are reclaimed for restoration and divine communion. But here's what separates those who experience breakthrough from those who remain stuck in cycles of restless nights. It's not about having more faith or being more spiritual. It's about understanding the specific spiritual mechanics that govern peaceful sleep and applying them with precision and consistency. Most people pray generic prayers and wonder why they get generic results. They speak vague words into the darkness and can't understand why darkness continues to dominate their nights. They approach spiritual warfare with spiritual butter knives and then act surprised when the enemy continues to torment their rest. Tonight, that changes for you. Tonight, you're learning to wield spiritual authority like the weapon it was designed to be. Tonight, you're discovering how to speak with such clarity and power that every force working against your peace has no choice but to retreat. The first prayer I'm going to teach you establishes your spiritual identity before you even think about sleep. You see, most people lie down as victims, hoping they might get lucky and have a decent night. But you're going to lie down as someone who knows exactly who they are and what authority they carry. This prayer doesn't just ask for protection, it declares your position as someone who deserves protection. It doesn't beg for peace, it commands peace based on your spiritual inheritance. It doesn't hope for rest, it takes dominion over rest as someone who understands their divine rights. When you speak this prayer, you're not just preparing for sleep. You're establishing the spiritual atmosphere that will govern your entire night. You're setting boundaries that dark forces cannot cross. You're creating conditions that make supernatural rest inevitable. But timing matters crucially here. This isn't something you mumble as you're drifting off to sleep. This prayer needs to be spoken while you're fully alert and completely focused. It needs to come from a heart that's centered in truth and a mind that's clear about what you're accomplishing. Find your position of authority in your bedroom. Stand or sit with your shoulders back and your head held high. This isn't the posture of someone begging for favors. This is the stance of someone who knows they have the right to command their circumstances. Look around your room and recognize that this space is about to become sacred territory. These walls are about to become fortified with divine protection. This bed is about to become an altar of rest. This pillow is about to become a place where your head rests in complete security. Now, speak these words with the full force of your spiritual authority. Don't whisper them timidly. Don't rush through them carelessly. Declare them with the confidence of someone who knows that heaven itself backs up every word you speak. Begin by acknowledging who you are in the spiritual realm. You are not just a tired person hoping for sleep. You are a child of the Most High, created in divine image, endowed with spiritual authority, and entitled to supernatural peace. Your sleep is not subject to the whims of circumstances or the attacks of spiritual enemies. Declare that this night belongs to you and that peace is your portion. Establish that your mind will be guarded by divine forces and that your body will experience complete restoration. Command that your dreams will be filled with hope, revelation, and encouragement. But don't stop there. This prayer must also address the spiritual forces that may have been interfering with your rest. Speak directly to every spirit of anxiety, fear, worry, and torment. Command them to leave your presence immediately and never return. Forbid them from accessing your thoughts, your emotions, or your dreams. Establish a perimeter of protection around your bedroom that no negative force can penetrate. Declare that angels are stationed at every entrance, that divine light fills every corner, and that the presence of the Almighty saturates every molecule of air you breathe. This isn't just about tonight. This prayer establishes a permanent shift in how you approach sleep. Once you've declared these truths with authority, Once you've established these spiritual boundaries, once you've commanded this level of protection, it doesn't expire when morning comes. You're creating a new normal for your sleep experience. You're establishing patterns of peace that will compound night after night. You're building spiritual momentum that makes each subsequent night even more restful than the last. After you've spoken this foundational prayer, you'll feel the atmosphere in your room shift. The air itself will seem lighter. The darkness won't feel oppressive anymore. Your bed will feel like the safe haven it was always meant to be. But this is just the beginning. This foundational prayer creates the spiritual conditions necessary for the even more powerful prayers that follow. It's like clearing the battlefield before deploying your most effective weapons. The second prayer I need to teach you focuses specifically on your mind. Your thoughts are the primary battleground where sleep is won or lost. If you can't establish peace in your thinking, all the physical comfort in the world won't give you genuine rest. Most people's minds become racetracks the moment they lie down. Thoughts about tomorrow's responsibilities start sprinting around in circles. Worries about unresolved situations begin marathons of anxiety. Regrets about past mistakes start doing wind sprints through their consciousness. This mental chaos isn't just inconvenient, it's spiritually dangerous. When your mind is fragmented and frantic, you become vulnerable to every negative influence that wants to amplify your fears. When your thoughts are scattered and spinning, you create openings for spiritual attacks on your peace. But when you learn to establish divine order in your thinking, when you command your thoughts to align with truth, when you speak peace over your mind with unshakable authority, everything changes. Your thoughts don't just slow down, they begin working for you instead of against you. This second prayer teaches you how to take captive every thought that would steal your sleep. It shows you how to speak with such authority over your mental processes that worry literally cannot gain traction in your consciousness. It demonstrates how to create such powerful peace in your thinking that your mind becomes a sanctuary instead of a storm. When you speak this prayer, you're not just asking your thoughts to calm down. You're commanding them to align with divine truth. You're not hoping your mind will cooperate with your need for rest. You're establishing spiritual authority over your mental processes that makes cooperation inevitable. This prayer addresses the root causes of mental restlessness. It speaks to the spiritual sources of racing thoughts and commands them to cease their interference. It establishes protection around your consciousness that prevents negative thoughts from taking root in the first place. But here's what makes this prayer truly revolutionary. It doesn't just quiet the negative thoughts, it replaces them with thoughts that actually promote deeper rest. It fills your mind with truths that create peace instead of chaos. It establishes thought patterns that work with your body's natural sleep rhythms instead of against them. As you speak this prayer over your mind, you'll notice your thoughts beginning to slow down immediately. The frantic energy that usually characterizes bedtime thinking starts dissipating. The mental chatter that typically keeps you awake begins fading into blessed silence. Your mind starts focusing on truth instead of fear, on peace instead of problems, on rest instead of responsibilities. Your thoughts begin flowing in directions that promote sleep instead of preventing it. Your consciousness aligns itself with the divine order you've established through your declaration. This mental transformation doesn't just help you fall asleep faster. It changes the quality of your entire sleep experience. When your mind is at peace, your body can achieve deeper levels of restoration. When your thoughts are aligned with truth, your dreams become sources of encouragement instead of anxiety. But the third prayer might be the most crucial of all, because it addresses something most people never even consider. Your body isn't just a physical machine that needs rest. It's also a spiritual temple that requires blessing to function at its highest capacity. Every muscle, every organ, every cell in your body responds to spiritual authority. When you speak blessing over your physical form, when you command restoration in your bones, when you declare healing in your tissues, your body begins operating according to divine design instead of human limitation. Most people treat their bodies like broken-down vehicles that might or might not make it through the night. They lie down, hoping their aches and pains won't keep them awake. They try to find comfortable positions to minimize their discomfort. They accept physical restlessness as an inevitable part of aging or stress. But your body was designed to be a temple of peace, not a source of torment. Your physical form was created to experience supernatural restoration during sleep, not just basic maintenance. Your flesh and bones were intended to respond to spiritual authority, not just medical intervention. This third prayer teaches you how to speak life and restoration into every part of your physical being. It shows you how to command your muscles to release tension, your nervous system to embrace calm, your entire body to align with divine order for rest. When you speak this prayer with authority, you're not just asking your body to cooperate with sleep. You're commanding it to experience the kind of restoration that can only come from divine intervention. You're establishing spiritual conditions that make supernatural healing possible while you rest. Your heart rate begins slowing to optimal rhythms for deep sleep. Your breathing becomes naturally deeper and more peaceful. Tension melts away from muscles you didn't even realize were tight. Pain that has been disrupting your sleep for months or years begins losing its grip on your physical experience. But this prayer goes beyond just physical comfort. It establishes your body as a vessel for divine presence during sleep. It creates conditions where the Holy Spirit can work deeply in your physical form, bringing healing, restoration, and renewal that transcends natural processes. People who consistently pray this prayer over their bodies often wake up feeling more energized than they have in years. Chronic pain conditions that have plagued them for decades begin improving. Sleep disorders that seem permanent start resolving naturally. This isn't just about getting more comfortable in bed. This is about partnering with divine power to transform your physical experience of sleep from survival mode to supernatural restoration mode. The fourth prayer addresses something that most people don't even realize affects their sleep quality. The spiritual atmosphere of your bedroom, your home, and even your neighborhood can either promote peaceful rest or create conditions that make quality sleep nearly impossible. Spiritual atmospheres are real, and they have measurable effects on everything from your mood to your physical health to your ability to rest deeply. When the spiritual atmosphere around your sleep is contaminated with negativity, fear, or demonic influence, no amount of physical preparation will give you the peace you need. But when you learn to establish divine atmosphere through spiritual authority, when you command peace to fill your environment, when you declare your space to be holy ground, everything about your sleep experience transforms. This prayer teaches you how to cleanse the spiritual atmosphere around your bed, your room, and your entire home. It shows you how to establish such powerful divine presence in your environment that negative spiritual influences cannot maintain their foothold. You begin by commanding every negative spiritual force to leave your property immediately. You forbid spirits of fear, anxiety, depression, and torment from having any influence in your living space. You establish angelic protection around the perimeter of your home and declare your dwelling place to be sanctuary. As you speak this prayer, you'll often feel the atmosphere in your room shift dramatically. Heavy, oppressive feelings that you might not have even consciously noticed begin lifting. The air itself seems to become lighter and more peaceful. Your home transforms from just a physical structure into a spiritual fortress of peace. Your bedroom becomes a sacred space where divine presence dwells. Your bed becomes an altar where supernatural rest is not just possible but inevitable. This atmospheric transformation affects everyone in your household. Family members begin sleeping more peacefully. Children have fewer nightmares. Even pets seem more relaxed and content But the fifth prayer might be the most personal and powerful of all, because it addresses the deepest source of sleep disruption that most people carry. Hidden in the depths of your heart are wounds, fears, and burdens that create spiritual unrest, even when your conscious mind thinks everything is fine. These heart issues create underground streams of anxiety that bubble up the moment you try to rest. They generate spiritual turbulence that keeps you tossing and turning even when you can't identify what's bothering you. They create openings for spiritual attack that make you vulnerable to every form of nighttime torment. This final prayer teaches you how to identify and address these heart-level issues with spiritual authority. It shows you how to speak healing into emotional wounds that have been bleeding in secret. It demonstrates how to establish peace in the deepest places of your being. When you learn to pray with this level of spiritual precision, when you address not just surface symptoms but root causes, when you speak divine healing into the hidden places of your heart, your entire relationship with sleep transforms permanently. You stop being someone who struggles with rest and become someone who naturally gravitates toward peace. You stop fighting for sleep and start flowing into it effortlessly. You stop being victimized by nighttime anxiety and start experiencing supernatural tranquility. These 5 prayers, spoken consistently with genuine spiritual authority, will revolutionize not just your sleep, but your entire life. They create a foundation of peace that affects every area of your existence. They establish patterns of divine blessing that compound and multiply over time. But knowing about these prayers isn't enough. Reading about spiritual authority won't change your sleep. Understanding the principles won't transform your nights. You have to actually speak these words with conviction, apply these truths with consistency, and exercise this authority with unwavering faith. Tonight is your opportunity to begin this transformation. Tonight, you can start experiencing the kind of sleep you've been longing for. Tonight, you can establish spiritual patterns that will serve you for the rest of your life. Are you ready to speak with the authority that commands peace? Are you prepared to exercise the spiritual dominion that establishes rest? Are you willing to take back territory in your life that has been under siege for far too long? Then let's begin with the first prayer, the one that establishes your spiritual identity and creates the foundation for everything that follows. Stand before your bed with the confidence of someone who knows their true identity. Look into the mirror of your soul and declare who you are in the spiritual realm. You are not just flesh and bone, hoping to make it through another difficult night. You are a being created in divine image, equipped with supernatural authority, destined for peace that surpasses human understanding. Place your hand over your heart and feel the rhythm of life that beats within you. That heartbeat is not random. It's the drumbeat of destiny, the percussion of purpose, the steady reminder that you were created for victory, not defeat. Every pulse declares that you are more than a conqueror, more than circumstances, more than the fears that have been stealing your sleep. Now speak these words with the full force of your spiritual inheritance. Let your voice carry the weight of heaven's backing. Don't whisper these truths like uncertain suggestions. Declare them like the spiritual facts they are. I am a child of the Most High God, created in divine image, crowned with glory and honor. My sleep is not subject to the chaos of this world or the attacks of spiritual enemies. I carry within me the same power that spoke galaxies into existence, and I now exercise that power over my rest. Feel those words settling into your spirit like seeds finding fertile ground. Let them take root in the deepest places of your identity. These aren't just nice thoughts or positive affirmations. These are spiritual realities that change the entire atmosphere around your sleep. This night belongs to me, because I belong to the one who owns all nights. Peace is not something I hope for, it's something I possess. Rest is not something I earn, it's something I inherit. Protection is not something I beg for, it's something I walk in because of who I am. And see, as you speak these declarations, notice how the energy in your room begins to shift. The heaviness that may have been pressing on your shoulders starts lifting. The anxiety that typically grips your chest as bedtime approaches begins loosening its hold. You're not just preparing for sleep, you're establishing dominion over everything that would dare to disturb your peace. I reject every lie that says I'm powerless over my circumstances. I refuse every suggestion that my sleep must be tormented by worry and fear. I deny access to every force that would steal my rest, disturb my dreams, or rob me of the restoration that belongs to me. But don't stop with rejection. Spiritual authority isn't just about saying no to negative forces. It's about saying yes to divine realities. It's about filling the spaces you've cleared with truth that transforms your entire sleep experience. I declare that this bed is an altar of rest where supernatural restoration takes place. I establish that this room is holy ground where divine presence dwells. I decree that this pillow is where my head rests in complete security, knowing that I am watched over by forces more powerful than any problem I could ever face. Now address the spiritual realm directly. Speak to the unseen forces that have been interfering with your peace. Command them with the authority that has been placed within you. Don't negotiate with darkness, dominate it. Every spirit of anxiety, I command you to leave my presence now and never return. Every force of fear that has been tormenting my nights, I bind you and cast you out of my dwelling place. Every demon of insomnia, restlessness, and torment, you have no legal right to my sleep, and I forbid you from accessing my thoughts, my emotions, or my dreams. Feel the power of those words reverberating through the spiritual atmosphere around you. You're not just making requests, you're issuing divine eviction notices to everything that has been squatting illegally in your peace. You're exercising the authority that was given to you before the foundation of the world. I establish a perimeter of divine protection around this room that no negative force can penetrate. I station angels at every entrance, in every corner, and around every window. I declare that the blood of Jesus covers this space and everyone in it. I fill this atmosphere with the presence of the Almighty until there is no room for anything that would steal, kill, or destroy. But this prayer must also address the future. You're not just dealing with tonight's sleep, you're establishing patterns that will govern every night that follows. You're creating spiritual momentum that will make peaceful rest your new normal. I declare that from this night forward, my sleep will be characterized by supernatural peace. My dreams will be filled with hope, revelation, and divine instruction. My body will experience complete restoration while I rest. My mind will be guarded by divine forces that prevent any thought from disturbing my tranquility. Now seal this prayer with gratitude that acknowledges what you've just accomplished. Thank the divine forces that have backed up every word you've spoken. Express appreciation for the spiritual authority you've been given and the peace you've just established. I thank you, Lord, for the authority you've placed within me. I thank you for the peace that now governs my sleep. I thank you for the protection that surrounds me and the restoration that awaits me. I receive these blessings not as someone hoping they might happen, but as someone knowing they already have happened because I've spoken them into existence with divine authority. As you finish this foundational prayer, take a moment to feel the difference in your spiritual atmosphere. The room doesn't just look the same, it feels completely different. The bed that may have felt like a battlefield now feels like a sanctuary. The darkness that once seemed threatening now feels like a comforting blanket of divine protection. This is what happens when you exercise spiritual authority over your sleep. This is the transformation that occurs when you speak with conviction instead of hoping with uncertainty. This is the peace that manifests when you take dominion over your rest instead of being victimized by circumstances. But we're just getting started. This foundational prayer has cleared the spiritual atmosphere and established your identity. Now we need to address the specific area where most sleep battles are won or lost: your mind. Your thoughts are not neutral territory. Every idea that enters your consciousness carries either the frequency of peace or the vibration of chaos. Every mental pattern you allow to run unchecked either promotes divine rest or creates spiritual turbulence. Every stream of thinking you permit to flow through your awareness either aligns you with supernatural tranquility or opens you up to demonic torment. Most people's minds become enemy territory the moment they try to sleep. Thoughts that seemed manageable during the day suddenly become monstrous at bedtime. Worries that were controllable in daylight transform into overwhelming giants in the darkness. Problems that appeared solvable during waking hours mutate into impossible obstacles when your head hits the pillow. This isn't coincidence. This is strategic spiritual warfare designed to steal your rest, weaken your resolve, and diminish your effectiveness for the next day. The enemy knows that if he can capture your mind during the vulnerable hours before sleep, he can influence your entire tomorrow before it even begins. But you're about to learn how to establish such complete authority over your thought life that worry literally cannot survive in your mental environment. You're going to discover how to create such powerful peace in your thinking that anxiety becomes as foreign to your consciousness as fear is to perfect love. Sit on the edge of your bed and place both hands on your temples. Feel the incredible organ that houses your thoughts, your memories, your dreams, and your fears. Recognize that this mind is not just a biological computer processing random information. It's sacred territory that you have both the right and the responsibility to govern with spiritual authority. Now speak directly to your mind, as if you're addressing a servant that must obey your commands. Don't plead with your thoughts to cooperate. Don't negotiate with anxiety about whether it can torment you tonight. Command your mental processes to align with divine order. Mind, I speak to you with the authority of someone created in God's image. You do not rule me, I rule you. You do not dictate my peace, I establish your patterns. You do not choose what thoughts dominate my consciousness, I determine what ideas are allowed to flourish in my thinking. Feel the shift that happens when you speak to your mind with this level of authority. Your thoughts don't just slow down, they begin organizing themselves according to the spiritual order you've established. The mental chaos that typically characterizes bedtime thinking starts transforming into divine sequence. Every thought of worry, I take you captive and cast you out of my consciousness. Every stream of anxiety, I bind you and forbid you from flowing through my awareness. Every pattern of fear, I break your hold on my mental processes and replace you with thoughts that promote peace and rest. But don't stop with casting out negative thoughts. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does the mind. If you remove destructive thinking without replacing it with constructive truth, the mental space you've cleared will quickly be refilled with more chaos. You must actively plant thoughts of peace, hope, and divine truth in the soil of your consciousness. I fill my mind with thoughts of God's faithfulness in my life. I meditate on every victory He has given me, every door He has opened, every provision He has made. I focus my thinking on His love for me, His plans for my future, His protection over my family. As you speak these words, notice how your mental atmosphere begins transforming. The frantic energy that usually characterizes your bedtime thinking starts dissipating like fog before the morning sun. The racing thoughts that typically keep you awake begin slowing to a peaceful rhythm that actually promotes sleep instead of preventing it. I command my mind to dwell on whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. I direct my thoughts toward things that are excellent and praiseworthy. I establish patterns of thinking that create peace instead of chaos, rest instead of restlessness. Now address the deeper sources of mental turbulence. Often the thoughts that steal our sleep aren't just random worries. They're rooted in spiritual attacks designed to create maximum disruption at the most vulnerable times. Speak directly to these demonic influences with absolute authority. Every demonic spirit assigned to torment my mind, I bind you in the name of Jesus and command you to leave my presence immediately. Every principality that has been sending thoughts of fear, doubt, and anxiety into my consciousness, I break your assignment over my life and forbid you from accessing my mental processes. Feel the liberation that comes when you address these spiritual sources directly. The oppressive mental weight that may have been pressing on your consciousness for years begins lifting. The fog of confusion that has been clouding your thoughts starts clearing. The mental prison that anxiety has built around your peace begins crumbling. I establish my mind as a fortress of divine peace where only God's thoughts are allowed to dwell. I create mental pathways that lead to rest, understanding, and supernatural tranquility. I program my consciousness to default to faith instead of fear, hope instead of despair, peace instead of panic. But this mental transformation must be sealed with declarations that establish permanent change. You're not just managing your thoughts for tonight, you're rewiring your mental patterns for life. You're creating new neural pathways that naturally gravitate toward peace instead of chaos. From this moment forward, when my head touches this pillow, my mind automatically shifts into peace mode. My thoughts naturally organize themselves around truth instead of lies, solutions instead of problems, blessings instead of burdens. My consciousness becomes a sanctuary where divine wisdom can flow freely and supernatural rest can manifest effortlessly. And as you finish praying over your mind, you'll notice that your thoughts have already begun flowing in completely different directions. Instead of racing toward tomorrow's responsibilities, they're settling into present moment peace. Instead of spiraling into worry about unresolved situations, they're resting in confidence about divine solutions. This mental transformation is the foundation for everything else we're going to accomplish. When your mind is at peace, your body can achieve levels of restoration that seemed impossible before. When your thoughts are aligned with truth, your dreams become sources of divine revelation instead of spiritual torment. But now we must address the physical dimension of your sleep experience. Your body isn't just a biological machine that needs rest. It's a sacred temple that requires blessing to function according to divine design. Every cell, every organ, every system in your physical form responds to spiritual authority when that authority is exercised with faith and conviction. Most people treat their bodies like broken-down vehicles that might not make it through the night. They lie down, hoping their aches and pains won't keep them awake. They try to find comfortable positions to minimize discomfort. They accept physical restlessness as an inevitable part of aging, stress, or chronic conditions. But your body was designed to be a vessel of divine presence, not a source of torment. Your physical form was created to experience supernatural restoration during sleep, not just basic maintenance. Your flesh and bones were intended to respond to spiritual commands, not just medical interventions. Place your hands on your chest and feel your heartbeat. That rhythm isn't just biological machinery keeping you alive, it's the drumbeat of divine life flowing through a temple created in God's image. Every pulse declares that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, equipped for supernatural health, designed for divine restoration. Now speak to your body with the same authority you use to command your mind. Address your physical form as sacred territory that must align with God's perfect will for your rest and restoration. Body, you are the temple of the Holy Spirit, created for divine purposes, designed for supernatural health. I command every system within you to function according to God's perfect design. I speak divine order into every organ, every muscle, every bone, every cell. Feel the power of those words penetrating every tissue of your physical being. You're not just asking your body to cooperate with sleep, You're commanding it to experience the kind of restoration that can only come from divine intervention. You're establishing spiritual conditions that make supernatural healing inevitable. Heart, I command you to beat with the steady rhythm of perfect peace. Lungs, I direct you to breathe with the deep, peaceful patterns that promote supernatural rest. Nervous system, I speak divine calm into every nerve, every synapse, every pathway of communication in my body. As you speak these commands, notice how your body begins responding immediately. Your heart rate naturally slows to optimal rhythms for deep sleep. Your breathing becomes automatically deeper and more peaceful. Tension that you didn't even realize you were carrying begins melting away from muscles throughout your physical form. I speak to every area of pain in my body and command it to bow to the healing power of God. Every inflammation, every soreness, every discomfort that has been stealing my sleep, I bind you and cast you out in Jesus' name. I declare that my body will experience complete restoration while I rest. But this prayer must go beyond just physical comfort. Your body is designed to be a vessel for divine presence during sleep. When you create the right spiritual conditions, the Holy Spirit can work deeply in your physical form, bringing healing, renewal, and restoration that transcends natural processes. Holy Spirit, I invite you to flow through every part of my physical being while I sleep. Bring healing to areas that need restoration, strength to systems that need renewal, and divine life to every cell that needs regeneration. Use these hours of rest to accomplish miracles in my body that can only come from your supernatural power. Now address specific areas where you've been experiencing physical challenges. Don't just hope they'll improve, command them to align with God's perfect will for your health and wholeness. I speak to every area of chronic pain and command it to release its hold on my body. I address every system that has been malfunctioning and direct it to operate according to divine design. I command every cell that has been damaged to be renewed, every tissue that has been injured to be healed, every organ that has been struggling to be strengthened. As you speak these declarations over your physical form, you'll often feel immediate changes beginning to occur. Pain that has been constant for months or years may begin subsiding. Tension that has been locked in your muscles for decades may start releasing. Energy that has been depleted by chronic conditions may begin returning. I establish my body as a sanctuary of divine health, where supernatural restoration occurs every night. I create physical conditions that promote the deepest levels of healing sleep. I program every cell to cooperate with God's perfect will for my wholeness and vitality. But the transformation doesn't stop with your individual body. The spiritual authority you're exercising over your physical form creates ripple effects that influence the entire atmosphere around your sleep. The divine presence you're inviting into your restoration process fills your entire environment with healing energy. Your bedroom becomes charged with supernatural power that promotes not just rest, but actual regeneration. Your bed transforms from just a place to lie down into an altar where divine healing occurs. Even the air you breathe becomes saturated with life-giving spiritual energy. I declare that this bed is consecrated as a place of divine restoration where miracles happen while I sleep. This pillow becomes a place of supernatural comfort where my head rests in complete peace. These sheets become coverings of divine protection that hold healing virtue throughout the night. As you finish praying over your body, take a moment to notice the physical changes that have already begun. Your muscles feel more relaxed than they have in weeks. Your breathing has naturally deepened into patterns that promote rest. Your entire physical form feels lighter, more peaceful, more aligned with divine order. This bodily transformation creates the perfect foundation for the atmospheric prayer that comes next. When your body is at peace and your mind is tranquil, you can establish spiritual atmosphere with even greater authority and effectiveness. But before we move to that crucial next step, I want you to understand something profound about what just happened. You didn't just pray over your body, you exercised dominion over your physical experience. You didn't just ask for healing, you commanded restoration. You didn't just hope for comfort, you established divine order in your very flesh and bones. This is the authority you carry as someone created in God's image. This is the power you possess as a temple of the Holy Spirit. This is the dominion you can exercise over every aspect of your existence, including your sleep. Tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up feeling more rested than you have in years. Not just because you slept longer, but because you slept under divine covering, with supernatural restoration flowing through every cell of your being. Not just because your body got rest, but because your body received healing that can only come from the Creator Himself. But we're not finished yet. Your individual peace, as powerful as it is, exists within a larger spiritual environment that must also be addressed. The atmosphere around your sleep can either amplify the peace you've established or create resistance that diminishes your rest. Most people never consider the spiritual atmosphere of their sleeping environment, but it has profound effects on the quality of their rest. Negative spiritual influences in your bedroom, your home, or even your neighborhood can create invisible turbulence that makes peaceful sleep nearly impossible. But when you learn to establish divine atmosphere through spiritual authority, when you command your environment to align with God's peace, when you fill your space with heavenly presence, everything about your sleep experience transforms dramatically. The spiritual atmosphere around your rest is about to become so charged with divine presence that peaceful sleep becomes inevitable, supernatural dreams become normal, and miraculous restoration becomes your nightly experience. Stand up and survey your bedroom with the eyes of someone who understands spiritual territory. What you're looking at isn't just furniture and walls, it's a battlefield where invisible forces have been waging war over your peace. Tonight, that war ends in your complete victory. Every corner of this room has been infiltrated by spiritual influences that either promote rest or prevent it. Every shadow has been occupied by forces that either bless your sleep or torment your dreams. Every breath of air carries either the frequency of divine peace or the vibration of demonic chaos. But you're about to change all of that with words that carry the creative power of heaven itself. Walk to the center of your room and recognize that you're standing on holy ground. Not because the carpet is sacred, but because you're about to consecrate this space with spiritual authority that transforms earthly territory into heavenly sanctuary. I take dominion over this room in the name of Jesus Christ. Every negative spiritual force that has been operating in this space, I command you to leave immediately and never return. Every demon that has been assigned to steal my sleep, torment my dreams, or rob my peace, your assignment is broken and your access is revoked. Feel the spiritual shift that happens when you speak with this level of authority. The oppressive heaviness that may have been lingering in corners you couldn't quite identify begins lifting. The spiritual fog that has been clouding your environment starts clearing like morning mist before the rising sun. I cleanse this atmosphere with the blood of Jesus. I purify this air with divine fire. I sanctify this space with holy presence. Every molecule in this room is now saturated with the glory of God, and there is no room for anything that would steal, kill, or destroy. But don't stop with cleansing. Spiritual authority isn't just about removing negative influences, it's about establishing positive realities. You must fill the space you've cleared with divine presence that creates conditions for supernatural rest. I invite the presence of the Almighty to fill this room until it overflows with peace. I call forth angelic hosts to take up residence in every corner, every doorway, every window. I establish this bedroom as a sanctuary where heaven touches earth and divine restoration occurs. Now address the specific areas of your room that will play crucial roles in your sleep experience. Your bed isn't just furniture, it's an altar where supernatural restoration takes place. Your pillow isn't just comfort, it's where divine dreams are downloaded into your consciousness. I consecrate this bed as holy ground where miracles happen while I sleep. Every spring, every fiber, every thread is now charged with healing virtue and supernatural peace. This mattress becomes a place of divine restoration, where my body experiences regeneration that transcends natural processes. Walk to each corner of your room and speak blessing into spaces that may have harbored spiritual darkness. Command every shadow to become a place where angels dwell. Declare every hidden space to be flooded with divine light. Northeast corner, I fill you with the presence of God and station mighty angels to guard this space. Southeast corner, I saturate you with divine peace and establish you as a fortress of protection. Southwest corner, I charge you with healing virtue and declare you to be a source of supernatural restoration. Northwest corner, I flood you with heavenly light and make you a beacon of divine glory. As you speak these declarations, you'll often feel the temperature in your room actually change. The air becomes lighter, easier to breathe. The space that may have felt cramped or oppressive suddenly feels expansive and peaceful. Your bedroom transforms from just a place to sleep into a sanctuary where divine encounters occur. I establish a perimeter of divine protection around this entire room that no negative force can penetrate. I create spiritual walls that are impenetrable to fear, anxiety, depression, or any form of demonic torment. This space is now sealed with the blood of Jesus and guarded by warrior angels. But this atmospheric transformation must extend beyond just your bedroom. Your entire home needs to be aligned with the peace you're establishing. Spiritual influences don't respect the boundaries of individual rooms, so your authority must cover your complete living environment. I extend this divine atmosphere throughout my entire dwelling place. Every room in this house is now consecrated as holy ground. Every hallway becomes a pathway of peace. Every doorway becomes a portal of blessing. Every window becomes an entrance for divine light and an exit for anything that would disturb our rest. Now address the spiritual influences that may be affecting your home from external sources. Negative spiritual activity in your neighborhood, unresolved conflicts with neighbors, or even past traumatic events that occurred in your living space can create atmospheric disturbances that steal your peace. I break every curse that has been spoken over this property. I cancel every negative word that has been released in this dwelling place. I reverse every spiritual assignment that has been established against the peace of this home. I declare that this house and everyone in it is covered by divine protection. Feel the liberation that comes when you address these deeper atmospheric issues. Spiritual heaviness that you may have attributed to stress or fatigue begins lifting. The sense of unease that sometimes grips you in certain areas of your home starts dissipating. Your entire living space begins radiating the peace you've established through spiritual authority. I fill this home with the worship of heaven. I establish this dwelling place as a house of prayer where divine presence is welcomed and honored. I create an atmosphere where supernatural peace is normal, where divine dreams are common, where miraculous restoration happens every night. But the most powerful part of this atmospheric prayer addresses something that most people never even consider. The spiritual history of your location affects the present spiritual atmosphere. Previous residents, past events, and accumulated spiritual influences can create invisible resistance to the peace you're trying to establish. I break every generational curse that has operated over this land. I cancel every covenant with darkness that previous residents may have made. I cleanse this property of every spiritual contamination from past activities. I declare that the spiritual history of this place is rewritten by the blood of Jesus. As you speak these words, you're literally changing the spiritual DNA of your environment. The accumulated negativity of years or even decades begins dissolving. The spiritual resistance that has been making peaceful sleep difficult starts crumbling. Your home transforms from a place where you merely exist into a sanctuary where you thrive. From this night forward, this home radiates divine peace that affects everyone who enters. This property becomes a source of blessing in our neighborhood. This dwelling place becomes a lighthouse of God's glory that pushes back spiritual darkness for miles in every direction. Now seal this atmospheric transformation with declarations that establish permanent change. You're not just creating a temporary spiritual environment, you're establishing lasting conditions that will govern the atmosphere around your sleep for years to come. I establish this atmospheric blessing as a permanent spiritual reality. Every night when I enter this room, the divine presence I've established here becomes even stronger. Every time I lie down on this bed, the supernatural peace I've decreed becomes even deeper. Every moment I spend in this space, the heavenly atmosphere I've created becomes even more powerful. As you finish this atmospheric prayer, take a few moments to simply breathe in the transformed environment you've created. The air itself feels different, lighter, more energizing, yet peaceful. The room that may have felt ordinary just minutes ago now feels like sacred space where anything is possible. This atmospheric transformation creates the perfect foundation for the most personal and powerful prayer of all. With your spiritual identity established, your mind at peace, your body blessed, and your environment consecrated, you're ready to address the deepest source of sleep disruption that most people carry. Hidden in the depths of your heart are wounds, fears, and burdens that create spiritual unrest, even when your conscious mind thinks everything is fine. These heart-level issues generate underground streams of anxiety that bubble up the moment you try to rest. They create spiritual turbulence that keeps you tossing and turning even when you can't identify what's bothering you. Unresolved grief that you thought you'd processed continues to steal your peace in the vulnerable hours before sleep. Unforgiven hurts that you've pushed down during busy days rise to the surface when your defenses are lowered. Secret fears about your future that you've managed to ignore in daylight become overwhelming giants in the darkness. These heart issues aren't just emotional problems, they're spiritual openings that give the enemy access to your peace. Every unhealed wound becomes a doorway for torment. Every unforgiven offense becomes a legal right for spiritual attack. Every buried fear becomes a weapon that can be used against your rest. But you're about to learn how to identify and heal these heart-level issues with surgical spiritual precision. You're going to discover how to speak divine restoration into emotional wounds that have been bleeding in secret for years. You're about to understand how to establish such complete peace in the deepest places of your being that nothing can disturb your rest ever again. Sit on your bed and place your hand over your heart. Feel not just the physical beating, but the spiritual center of your being, where your deepest thoughts, emotions, and desires reside. This is where your true battles are fought and won. This is where lasting peace must be established if you want supernatural sleep. Heart, I speak to you as the center of my spiritual being. You are not ruled by circumstances, controlled by emotions, or tormented by past experiences. You are the dwelling place of the Holy Spirit, the throne room where divine peace reigns, the sacred chamber where God's love transforms everything it touches. Feel the power of those words, penetrating the deepest places of your being. You're not just addressing your emotions, you're speaking to the core of your spiritual identity. You're establishing divine order in the very center of who you are. I command every wound in my heart to be healed by the love of God. Every hurt that has been stealing my peace, I release you to divine mercy and receive complete restoration in return. Every offense that has been creating unrest in my spirit, I forgive completely and command bitterness to leave my heart forever. As you speak these words, you may feel emotions beginning to surface that you've kept buried for years. Don't resist them. Let them come up so they can be healed. Tears may flow, but they're tears of liberation, not devastation. Pain may surface, but it's the pain of healing, not wounding. I speak to every fear that has been hiding in my heart and command it to bow to perfect love. Every anxiety about my future, I cast you onto God's faithfulness and receive His perfect peace in return. Every worry about my family, my finances, my health, I surrender you completely and trust in divine provision. Now address the specific heart issues that have been stealing your sleep. Be honest about the burdens you've been carrying. Identify the fears that grip you in the darkness. Acknowledge the hurts that resurface when your defenses are down. I speak specifically to the fear of failure that has been tormenting my dreams. I cast this burden onto God's grace and receive confidence in His plans for my success. I address the worry about my children's future that keeps me awake at night. I surrender this concern to divine wisdom and trust in God's protection over their lives. Continue identifying and addressing every heart issue that the Holy Spirit brings to your awareness. Don't rush through this process. Allow divine love to do surgery in the deepest places of your being. Let supernatural peace replace every source of spiritual unrest you've been carrying. I release every regret about past mistakes that has been stealing my peace. I receive complete forgiveness and walk in the freedom of divine mercy. I surrender every burden about unfinished responsibilities that creates anxiety when I try to rest. I trust in God's timing and provision for everything that concerns me. But this heart-level healing must go beyond just individual issues. Often, the deepest sources of unrest are connected to generational patterns, family wounds, or spiritual strongholds that have been affecting your lineage for decades. I break every generational pattern of anxiety, depression, and fear that has been passed down through my family line. I cancel every curse of restlessness, insomnia, and torment that has affected previous generations. I declare that these patterns stop with me and are replaced by generational blessings of peace, rest, and divine favor. Feel the profound liberation that comes when you address these deeper spiritual roots. The anxiety that seemed to be part of your very DNA begins losing its grip on your emotions. The restlessness that felt like an inevitable part of your personality starts dissolving. The fear that seemed woven into your very identity begins unraveling. I establish my heart as a fortress of divine peace where God's love reigns supreme. I create emotional patterns that naturally gravitate toward rest instead of anxiety, trust instead of fear, hope instead of despair. I program my deepest being to default to the peace that passes all understanding. Now speak blessing and healing into your heart with the same authority you've used to command every other area of your life. Your heart isn't just an emotional center, it's spiritual territory that must be governed by divine truth. Heart, I bless you with supernatural peace that cannot be shaken by circumstances. I establish you as a sanctuary where God's presence dwells continuously. I fill you with divine love that casts out all fear, heavenly joy that overcomes all sorrow, and supernatural hope that conquers all despair. As you finish this heart-level prayer, you'll notice that something fundamental has shifted in your deepest being. The spiritual unrest that has been churning beneath the surface of your consciousness begins stilling like a storm-tossed sea, becoming perfectly calm. The emotional turbulence that has been stealing your sleep starts settling into divine tranquility. This heart transformation completes the spiritual preparation necessary for supernatural sleep. With your identity established, your mind at peace, your body blessed, your environment consecrated, and your heart healed, you've created conditions where peaceful rest isn't just possible, it's inevitable. But there's one final element that will seal everything you've accomplished and ensure that these spiritual realities become permanent patterns in your life. You must establish specific declarations that you'll speak over your sleep every single night. creating spiritual momentum that makes each subsequent rest even more peaceful than the last. These aren't just bedtime prayers, they're spiritual decrees that establish divine order in your sleep experience. They're declarations that command your circumstances instead of being controlled by them. They're words of power that create the reality they describe. Lie down on your bed and feel the transformation that has already occurred. Your mattress doesn't just feel more comfortable, it feels like sacred ground. Your pillow doesn't just support your head, it cradles you in divine peace. Your sheets don't just cover your body, they wrap you in supernatural protection. As I lay my head on this pillow tonight, I declare that I am entering into divine rest. My sleep will be deep, peaceful, and restorative. My dreams will be filled with hope, revelation, and encouragement. My body will experience complete healing and renewal while I rest. Speak these words with absolute conviction. Don't whisper them hopefully, declare them authoritatively. You're not asking for these things to happen, you're commanding them to manifest because you have the spiritual authority to do so. I forbid every negative thought from disturbing my peace tonight. I bind every spirit of anxiety, fear, and worry from accessing my mind while I sleep. I establish divine protection around my consciousness that prevents any disturbing dream or nightmare from manifesting. Now address your physical experience with the same level of spiritual authority. Your body isn't just going to lie still for 8 hours, it's going to experience supernatural restoration that transcends natural processes. I command every muscle in my body to release all tension and embrace perfect relaxation. I direct every organ to function in perfect harmony with divine design. I speak healing and restoration into every cell, every tissue, every system while I sleep. But don't stop with just tonight. These declarations must establish patterns that will govern your sleep experience for the rest of your life. You're creating spiritual momentum that makes peaceful rest your new normal. From this night forward, every time I lie down to sleep, these spiritual realities become even stronger. Every night I rest in this bed, the peace I've established becomes even deeper. Every time I close my eyes, the protection I've decreed becomes even more powerful. Feel the profound peace that settles over you as you speak these final declarations. The anxiety that typically grips you at bedtime is nowhere to be found. The racing thoughts that usually keep you awake have been replaced by perfect tranquility. The physical tension that normally makes sleep difficult has melted away completely. I seal all of these prayers and declarations with the blood of Jesus. I establish them as permanent spiritual realities that cannot be shaken by circumstances or attacked by spiritual enemies. What I have decreed in faith will manifest in power, and my sleep will never be the same. As you finish speaking these words, something profound happens in the spiritual realm. Angels take their positions around your bed. Divine peace settles over your room like a tangible blanket. The presence of God fills your space so completely that there's no room for anything that would steal, kill, or destroy. Your transformation is complete, but your journey is just beginning. Tonight, you'll experience the kind of sleep you've been longing for your entire life. Tomorrow morning, you'll wake up more refreshed than you've felt in years. But more importantly, you'll have established spiritual patterns that will serve you for decades to come. Every night from now on, when you speak these prayers with faith and authority, your sleep will become even more peaceful. Every time you exercise this spiritual dominion over your rest, the divine protection around your slumber will become even stronger. Every moment you invest in blessing, your sleep will multiply into hours of supernatural restoration. You're no longer someone who struggles with rest. You're someone who commands peace. You're no longer a victim of sleepless nights. You're someone who exercises spiritual authority over every hour of darkness. You're no longer at the mercy of anxious thoughts and restless dreams. You're someone who establishes divine order in every aspect of your sleep experience. But remember, This transformation didn't happen because you discovered some magical formula or secret technique. It happened because you recognized the spiritual authority that was already within you and learned how to exercise it effectively. It occurred because you understood that sleep is spiritual territory that must be governed by divine truth. The power you've accessed tonight has always been available to you. The authority you've exercised over your sleep has always been your birthright. The peace you've established in your rest has always been your inheritance. You just needed to learn how to claim what already belonged to you. Tonight, as you drift off to sleep surrounded by divine protection, filled with supernatural peace and covered by heavenly blessing, remember that you are deeply loved by the Creator of the universe. You are precious in His sight, valuable beyond measure, worthy of the peaceful rest you're about to experience. Your head hits the pillow, not as someone hoping for a decent night's sleep, but as someone who has commanded supernatural rest with unshakable authority. Your eyes close, not in uncertainty about what the night will bring, but in complete confidence that divine forces are working on your behalf while you slumber. Tomorrow morning you'll wake up with a testimony of God's faithfulness that will strengthen your faith for years to come. You'll rise with supernatural energy that comes from truly restful sleep. You'll start your day with the confidence of someone who knows they're protected, loved, and destined for victory. But tonight, simply rest in the peace you've established. Sleep in the protection you've decreed, dream in the safety you've commanded, and wake up transformed by the power of going to bed blessed instead of going to bed defeated. Your journey into supernatural sleep has officially begun, and nothing will ever be the same. The enemy trembles when he sees someone who truly understands the power of blessed sleep. He knows that when you consistently rest under divine covering, you become unstoppable in every area of your life. He recognizes that peaceful nights produce powerful days, that protected sleep creates courageous warriors, that blessed rest births breakthrough victories. This is why the battle for your sleep has been so intense. This is why anxiety seems to multiply the moment your head touches the pillow. This is why fears that were manageable during the day become overwhelming giants in the darkness. The enemy understands that if he can steal your rest, he can weaken every other area of your existence. But tonight marks the end of his reign over your sleep. Tonight you've taken back territory that was stolen from you. Tonight you've established spiritual patterns that will serve you for the rest of your life. The transformation you've experienced isn't temporary, it's permanent. The authority you've exercised isn't situational, it's your new normal. As you prepare to experience the most peaceful sleep of your life, I want you to understand something profound about what you've accomplished. You haven't just learned some bedtime prayers or relaxation techniques. You've discovered how to partner with divine power to transform one of the most vulnerable areas of human existence. Sleep is when we're most defenseless, most open to spiritual attack, most susceptible to fear and torment. But it's also when we're most available for divine encounter, most receptive to supernatural healing, most positioned for prophetic revelation. The difference between sleep becoming a battlefield or a sanctuary depends entirely on understanding and exercising spiritual authority. Most people surrender 8 hours of their lives every night to whatever forces want to influence their rest. They go to bed spiritually naked, emotionally vulnerable, mentally unprotected. Then they wonder why they wake up exhausted, discouraged, filled with dread about the day ahead. But you've learned to sleep like someone who knows they're covered. You've discovered how to rest with the confidence of someone who understands their spiritual identity. You've figured out how to turn your bedroom into a fortress of peace where divine restoration happens every single night. The prayers you've spoken tonight have created spiritual momentum that will compound with each passing day. Every night you exercise this authority, your sleep will become even more peaceful. Every time you speak these declarations with faith, the protection around your rest will become even stronger. Every moment you invest in blessing your sleep will multiply into hours of supernatural refreshment. But this transformation extends far beyond just better sleep. When you consistently rest in divine peace, it changes how you approach every challenge during the day. You wake up with more confidence because you've experienced God's protection all night long. You face difficulties with more courage because you know you're not fighting alone. You carry yourself with more authority because you've been reminded of your true identity while you slept. People around you will begin noticing the change. Your spouse will comment on how much more peaceful you seem. Your children will be drawn to the atmosphere of rest you carry. Your co-workers will wonder why you seem so calm under pressure. Even strangers will be affected by the divine peace that radiates from someone who truly knows how to sleep blessed. This is the ripple effect of supernatural rest. When you sleep in divine peace, you wake up carrying that peace into every interaction, every decision, every challenge of your day. When you rest under heavenly protection, you rise with supernatural confidence that can't be shaken by circumstances. When you dream blessed dreams, you live blessed days. Your family will sleep more peacefully because of the spiritual atmosphere you've established in your home. Your marriage will grow stronger because both partners are getting the rest they need to love well. Your children will have fewer nightmares because the spiritual environment around their sleep has been transformed by your authority. Even your physical health will improve dramatically. Your immune system will function more effectively because your body is getting genuine restoration instead of just unconscious time. Your mental clarity will increase because your brain is receiving the deep sleep cycles necessary for optimal performance. Your emotional stability will strengthen because your nervous system is getting the supernatural peace it needs to regulate properly. Financial breakthrough often follows when people learn to sleep blessed. Why? Because divine wisdom flows more freely to rested minds. Creative solutions download more easily to peaceful hearts. Supernatural strategies become available to those who create the right spiritual conditions during sleep. Relationships heal faster when you're sleeping in divine peace. The bitterness that might have taken root during difficult days gets processed and released during blessed nights. The hurt that could have festered into resentment gets touched by divine love while you rest. The misunderstandings that might have grown into major conflicts get resolved through supernatural wisdom received in dreams. Your calling becomes clearer when you sleep under divine covering. The confusion that clouds your purpose during busy days lifts during peaceful nights. The fear that paralyzes you from stepping into your destiny dissolves in the presence of perfect love. The doubt that whispers lies about your abilities gets silenced by divine truth, downloaded while you dream. This is why the enemy has fought so hard for your sleep. He knows that when you truly rest in God, you become dangerous to his plans. He understands that peaceful sleep produces powerful people. He recognizes that when you sleep blessed, you wake up equipped for victory. But his reign of terror over your nights is officially over. The sleepless nights filled with anxiety are behind you. The restless tossing and turning is a thing of the past. The exhausted mornings when you felt defeated before the day even began are never coming back. From now on, when people ask you how you stay so peaceful under pressure, you'll tell them about the power of going to bed blessed. When they wonder how you maintain such consistent energy and joy, you'll share the secret of supernatural sleep. When they're amazed by your ability to hear God's voice so clearly, you'll explain how divine revelation flows to those who create the right conditions during rest. You'll become a walking testimony of what happens when someone discovers the truth about spiritual authority over sleep. Your life will be living proof that peaceful nights create powerful days. Your transformation will inspire others to stop accepting restless sleep as normal and start claiming the supernatural rest that belongs to them. Tonight, as you close your eyes and drift into the most peaceful sleep you've experienced in years, remember that you're not just resting, you're positioning yourself for divine encounter. You're creating space for supernatural healing. You're opening your heart to prophetic revelation that will guide your steps tomorrow. Your dreams tonight won't be random collections of subconscious thoughts. They'll be divine communications designed to encourage your heart, reveal God's plans for your future, and download the wisdom you need for upcoming challenges. Your sleep won't just restore your body, it will renew your spirit and refresh your soul. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you'll feel the difference immediately. Your body will feel truly rested for the first time in years. Your mind will be clear and sharp, ready to tackle whatever the day brings. Your spirit will be energized and expectant, knowing that you serve a God who visits his children while they sleep. But more than feeling better, you'll wake up knowing something fundamental has changed in your life. You'll rise with the confidence of someone who has taken back authority over an area that was under attack. You'll start your day with the assurance of someone who knows they're protected, loved, and destined for victory. The anxiety that used to grip you first thing in the morning will be replaced by supernatural peace. The dread that once filled your heart about facing another difficult day will be transformed into eager anticipation. The exhaustion that made every task feel overwhelming will be exchanged for divine energy that makes all things possible. Your prayers will be more powerful because they're coming from someone who truly rests in God. Your decisions will be wiser because they're made from a place of divine peace rather than human anxiety. Your relationships will be healthier because you're operating from supernatural love rather than fear-based reactions. This transformation isn't just for tonight or tomorrow. These spiritual patterns you've established will serve you for decades to come. Every birthday that passes will find you sleeping more peacefully than the year before. Every season of life will be navigated with greater rest and confidence because you've learned the secret of blessed sleep. When challenges come, and they will, you won't lose sleep over them because you've established spiritual authority over your rest. When seasons of transition arrive, you won't be tormented by uncertainty because you've learned to receive divine guidance through blessed dreams. When difficulties arise, you won't be overwhelmed by fear because you've created a sanctuary of peace where supernatural solutions are downloaded while you sleep. Years from now, when people look at your life and marvel at your consistent peace, your unwavering joy, your supernatural wisdom, you'll trace it all back to this night when you discovered the power of going to bed blessed. You'll remember this moment when everything changed, when you stopped being a victim of circumstances and became someone who exercises spiritual authority over every area of life. Your children will grow up in homes filled with the atmosphere of divine rest. They'll learn from your example how to sleep blessed and wake up victorious. They'll carry these spiritual principles into their adult lives, establishing generational patterns of supernatural peace that will impact your family line for centuries to come. The legacy you're creating tonight extends far beyond your individual transformation. You're breaking generational curses of anxiety, insomnia, and restlessness that may have plagued your family for decades. You're establishing new patterns of divine peace that will be passed down to your children and your children's children. Your grandchildren will sleep peacefully because of the spiritual authority you exercise tonight. Your great-grandchildren will walk in supernatural confidence because of the generational blessing you established through learning to go to bed blessed instead of going to bed defeated. But right now, in this moment, simply receive the profound peace that belongs to you. Feel the weight of divine protection settling over you like the most comfortable blanket you've ever experienced. Sense the presence of angels taking their positions around your bed, ready to guard your sleep throughout the night. Your transformation is complete, but your journey is just beginning. Tonight marks the first night of the rest of your life, a life characterized by supernatural sleep, divine dreams, and mornings filled with heaven's energy. Tonight begins a new chapter where rest becomes your weapon, peace becomes your strength, and blessed sleep becomes your secret to victorious living. As your eyes grow heavy and your body settles into complete relaxation, know that you are deeply loved, thoroughly protected, and destined for breakthrough. Know that divine forces are working on your behalf while you rest, arranging circumstances for your good, preparing blessings for your tomorrow, and orchestrating victories you can't even imagine yet. Sleep well, beloved child of the Most High. Rest in the peace that passes all understanding. Dream dreams filled with hope and divine revelation. And wake up tomorrow, transformed by the power of a night spent under heaven's covering, ready to walk in the authority you've discovered, equipped to live the blessed life you were always meant to experience. The battle for your sleep is over, and you have emerged victorious. The war against your peace has ended in your complete triumph. The struggle for restful nights has concluded with your total victory. From this moment forward, you don't just go to sleep, you go to bed blessed, protected, and positioned for supernatural encounter with the God who never slumbers nor sleeps, but who delights in visiting his children in the quiet hours of the night. Your blessed sleep journey begins now, and nothing will ever be the same. The enemy knows that when you wake up from truly blessed sleep, you become a force he cannot reckon with. You rise with divine clarity that cuts through his deceptions like a sword through darkness. You stand with supernatural confidence that makes his intimidation tactics powerless. You walk with heavenly authority that causes his schemes to crumble before they can take root. But there's something even more powerful happening as you rest tonight. While your conscious mind sleeps, your spirit remains active, communing with divine wisdom, receiving heavenly downloads, connecting with the infinite intelligence of your Creator. This isn't just rest, it's spiritual education. This isn't just sleep, it's supernatural preparation for tomorrow's victories. Your dreams tonight will be unlike any you've experienced before. Instead of random images and confused narratives, you'll receive clear communication from heaven. Instead of anxiety-filled nightmares, you'll experience prophetic glimpses of your blessed future. Instead of restless tossing and turning, you'll find yourself in divine classrooms where wisdom is imparted directly to your spirit. Some of you will receive specific instructions about decisions you need to make. Others will gain supernatural insight into relationships that need healing. Many will wake up with creative solutions to problems that seemed impossible just hours earlier. This is what happens when you create the right spiritual conditions for divine encounter during sleep. The business breakthrough you've been praying for might be downloaded tonight while you dream. The healing strategy your body needs could be revealed in a vision as you rest. The relationship wisdom you've been seeking may flow into your consciousness as you sleep under divine covering. But understand this clearly. These supernatural experiences aren't rewards for good behavior or special privileges reserved for a chosen few. They're the natural result of sleeping in proper spiritual alignment. They're what happens when you exercise the authority you were born to carry. They're the inevitable outcome of going to bed blessed instead of going to bed defeated. Your sleep tonight becomes a bridge between earth and heaven, a portal through which divine resources flow into your natural circumstances. While your body rests, your spirit ascends into heavenly places where solutions exist for every problem, where healing flows for every sickness, where provision waits for every need. The financial stress that kept you awake last month will seem manageable tomorrow because you'll wake up with supernatural strategy. The relationship conflict that tormented your thoughts will have clear resolution because divine wisdom will have been imparted while you slept. The health concern that filled you with fear will lose its power because healing virtue will have flowed through your body during blessed rest. This is why the enemy fights so desperately for your sleep. He knows that 8 hours of divine encounter can undo years of his destructive work. He understands that one night of supernatural rest can provide breakthrough that human effort could never achieve. He recognizes that blessed sleep creates the kind of people who walk in victory as their normal way of life. Tonight, as divine peace settles over your mind like morning dew on grass, as supernatural protection surrounds your body like armor made of light, as heavenly presence fills your room until it overflows with glory, you're not just experiencing better sleep. You're positioning yourself for a complete life transformation. The timid person you were yesterday begins dissolving in the presence of perfect love. The anxious thoughts that once ruled your mind start evaporating in the atmosphere of divine peace. The fearful reactions that characterized your responses to challenges begin transforming into faith-filled declarations of victory. You're not just getting rest tonight. You're being recreated. You're not simply sleeping, you're being renewed from the inside out. You're not merely lying down, you're rising up into your true identity as someone who carries heaven's authority into every situation. Tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, you won't just feel rested, you'll feel reborn. You won't simply be refreshed, you'll be transformed. You won't merely have energy for the day, you'll carry supernatural power that changes every environment you enter. The co-workers who used to drain your energy will find themselves lifted by your presence. The family members who once triggered your anxiety will discover a new person who responds with divine wisdom instead of human reaction. The challenges that previously overwhelmed you will encounter someone who knows how to access heaven's resources for every situation. Your words will carry more weight because they flow from someone who has been in God's presence all night. Your decisions will be wiser because they're made from divine insight received during blessed sleep. Your prayers will be more powerful because they're offered by someone who truly knows how to rest in God's faithfulness. But this transformation doesn't happen just once. Every night you apply these principles, every time you exercise this spiritual authority, every moment you choose to go to bed blessed instead of burdened, the changes compound and multiply. The peace gets deeper, the protection gets stronger, the divine encounters become more frequent and more profound. 6 months from now, people will ask you what happened. They'll want to know why you seem so different, so peaceful, so confident in situations that used to shake you. You'll tell them about the night you discovered the power of blessed sleep, and many will think you're exaggerating or being overly spiritual, but your life will be the proof they can't deny. Your consistent joy in the midst of chaos will testify to supernatural peace. Your wisdom in handling difficult situations will demonstrate divine guidance. Your energy and vitality will reveal the power of truly restorative sleep. A year from now, you'll barely remember what it felt like to lie awake worrying about tomorrow. The anxiety that once kept you tossing and turning will seem like something that happened to someone else entirely. The restless nights that used to leave you exhausted will be distant memories, replaced by consistent experiences of supernatural rest. Your children will grow up watching a parent who knows how to sleep in peace regardless of circumstances. They'll learn by example that worry is not normal, that anxiety doesn't have to rule their nights, that divine protection is available to anyone who understands how to access it. The generational patterns of insomnia, anxiety, and restlessness that may have plagued your family line for decades will be broken tonight. The spiritual strongholds that have been stealing peace from your ancestors will lose their legal right to operate in your lineage. The curses that have been passed down through generations will be replaced by blessings that will impact your family for centuries to come. Your grandchildren will sleep peacefully because of what you've learned tonight. Your great-grandchildren will walk in supernatural confidence because of the spiritual authority you've exercised. The legacy you're creating extends far beyond your individual transformation into generational blessing that will outlive your earthly existence. But even more than the generational impact, even beyond the personal transformation, even greater than the life changes you'll experience, there's something profound happening in the spiritual realm as you rest tonight. Heaven is celebrating your breakthrough. Angels are rejoicing over your victory. The Father himself is smiling as he watches his child finally discover how to sleep in the peace that has always been available. You are deeply loved by the Creator of the universe. You are precious in his sight, valuable beyond measure, worthy of every blessing he has prepared for you. Your sleep tonight isn't just rest. It's communion with the one who loves you more than you can comprehend. As your breathing deepens and your body settles into complete relaxation, as your mind releases the concerns of the day and embraces divine tranquility, as your spirit opens to receive everything heaven wants to pour into your life, know that you are exactly where you belong. You belong in this place of peace. You belong under divine protection. You belong in supernatural rest that restores not just your body, but your entire being. This isn't too good to be true. It's exactly what your Father intended for you from the very beginning. The enemy whispers lies that you don't deserve this level of peace, that something this good can't last, that you'll wake up disappointed because it was all just imagination. But his voice grows fainter and fainter as divine truth fills your consciousness with unshakable reality. You do deserve supernatural sleep because you are God's beloved child. This peace will last because it's rooted in eternal truth, not temporary circumstances. You will wake up transformed because spiritual authority always produces real results when exercised with genuine faith. Tonight marks the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The chapter of restless nights, anxious thoughts, and defeated mornings is officially closed. The new chapter of blessed sleep, peaceful dreams, and victorious days is beginning right now as divine presence settles over you like the most comforting embrace you've ever experienced. Your head rests on this pillow, not as someone hoping for relief, but as someone who has commanded supernatural peace with unshakable authority. Your eyes close not in uncertainty about what the night will bring, but in complete confidence that divine forces are working on your behalf while you slumber peacefully. The last conscious thought you have tonight won't be worry about tomorrow's challenges, but gratitude for the peace that now governs your sleep. The final image in your mind won't be fear about unresolved problems, but faith in the God who works all things together for your good. And when morning comes, when the sun rises on a new day filled with infinite possibilities, when you open your eyes feeling more rested than you have in years, you'll know with absolute certainty that everything has changed. You'll rise not just from sleep, but from limitation into liberty, from anxiety into authority, from defeat into divine victory. Sleep well, beloved. Rest in the peace that is your inheritance. Dream dreams filled with heaven's hope. And wake up tomorrow ready to walk in the supernatural life you were always meant to live, armed with the authority you discovered tonight, equipped with the peace you established, and prepared for victories that will astound even you. Your blessed sleep begins now, and your transformed life starts tomorrow. Nothing will ever be the same, and that's exactly how it should be for someone who has finally learned the secret of going to bed blessed instead of going to bed burdened. The battle is over, the victory is won, and your peaceful future begins tonight. The transformation you've experienced tonight extends into realms you haven't even considered yet. While you've established peace in your mind, blessing over your body, and divine protection around your environment, there's another dimension of your sleep that requires spiritual attention. Your dreams themselves are sacred territory that must be governed by the same authority you've exercised over every other aspect of your rest. Most people treat their dreams like random movies playing in their unconscious minds, accepting whatever images, emotions, or narratives show up during sleep. They wake up confused by strange dreams, tormented by nightmares, or disappointed by the chaos that seems to rule their sleeping consciousness. But your dreams are not random entertainment or meaningless brain activity. They are spiritual real estate that can either be occupied by divine revelation or invaded by demonic deception. Tonight, you're going to learn how to establish such complete authority over your dream life that every single night becomes an opportunity for supernatural encounter, divine instruction, and prophetic revelation. You're going to discover how to transform your dreams from confusing distractions into powerful tools for spiritual growth and life direction. The enemy knows that dreams are one of the primary ways God communicates with his children. Throughout Scripture, we see divine guidance, warnings, and revelations coming through dreams. Joseph received understanding of his destiny through dreams. Daniel interpreted dreams that changed the course of nations. Mary was visited by an angel in a dream that announced the coming of the Messiah. But if dreams can be vehicles for divine communication, they can also be hijacked by forces of darkness seeking to torment, confuse, and discourage you. Every nightmare you've ever experienced was a spiritual attack designed to steal your peace and plant seeds of fear in your consciousness. Every disturbing dream that left you feeling unsettled was an attempt to contaminate your thinking with lies about yourself, your future, or your God. Tonight, that changes forever. Tonight, you're taking complete dominion over your dream life with the same spiritual authority you've used to command every other area of your sleep experience. Sit up in your bed and place your hands on your forehead, the place where dreams form and play out in your consciousness. Recognize that this isn't just biological machinery processing the day's events. This is sacred space where heaven can download instructions, where divine wisdom can be imparted, where prophetic glimpses of your future can be revealed. Dreams. I speak to you with the authority of someone created in God's image. You are not random chaos or meaningless activity. You are divine territory that belongs to me, and I exercise complete dominion over what manifests in my sleeping consciousness. I command you to align with God's perfect will for my life. Feel the shift that occurs when you speak to your dreams with this level of spiritual authority. You're not just hoping for better dreams, you're commanding them. You're not wishing nightmares would stop, you're forbidding them from accessing your consciousness. Every nightmare spirit that has been assigned to torment my sleep, I bind you in the name of Jesus and cast you out of my dream life forever. Every demon of fear, confusion, and anxiety that has been contaminating my dreams, I break your assignment and revoke your access to my sleeping consciousness. But removing negative influences from your dreams is only half the battle. You must actively invite divine presence to fill the spiritual space you've cleared. Your dreams must be consciously consecrated as holy ground where supernatural encounters can occur. Holy Spirit, I invite you to be the director of my dreams tonight. Fill my sleeping consciousness with your presence until there is no room for anything that would confuse, frighten, or discourage me. Make my dreams a classroom where you teach me, a sanctuary where you meet with me, a theater where you show me glimpses of the good plans you have for my future. Now speak specific blessings over different types of dreams that can manifest in your sleep. Your authority extends to every category of dream experience, and you have the right to determine what kind of spiritual activity occurs in your consciousness while you rest. I decree that my dreams tonight will be filled with divine revelation that gives me insight into your will for my life. I establish that prophetic dreams will flow through my consciousness, showing me glimpses of the victories you have prepared for me. I command that healing dreams will minister to my body, bringing restoration to every area that needs divine touch. As you speak these declarations, you're literally programming your spiritual consciousness to receive specific types of divine communication. Your dreams become tuned to heaven's frequency instead of earth's chaos. Your sleeping mind becomes a receptor for God's voice instead of a playground for demonic torment. I declare that problem-solving dreams will bring supernatural solutions to challenges I'm facing. I establish that relationship dreams will give me wisdom for healing broken connections and deepening healthy bonds. I command that creative dreams will download divine inspiration for projects, ministries, and purposes you've placed in my heart. But your authority over dreams extends beyond just your own sleep experience. When you exercise this level of spiritual dominion, it creates atmospheric changes that affect everyone in your household. Your children begin having peaceful dreams instead of nightmares. Your spouse starts receiving divine guidance through their sleep. Even visitors to your home find their dreams more restful and encouraging. I extend this dream blessing throughout my entire household. Every person who sleeps under this roof will experience divine dreams instead of demonic torment. Every child in this home will have dreams filled with hope and wonder. Every adult in this dwelling will receive divine guidance and supernatural peace through their sleep. Now address the specific content of your dreams with prophetic authority. You're not just hoping good things will happen in your sleep. You're decreeing exactly what kinds of spiritual experiences will manifest in your dreams. I command that my dreams will be filled with encounters with Jesus, where he speaks directly to my heart about his love for me and his plans for my future. I establish that angelic visitations will occur in my dreams, bringing messages of encouragement, protection, and divine assignment. I decree that dreams of heaven will remind me of my eternal home and strengthen my faith for earthly challenges. Feel the power of these declarations, reshaping the spiritual atmosphere around your sleep. Your bedroom becomes charged with expectancy for divine encounter. Your pillow becomes a place where prophetic revelation is downloaded. Your dreams transform from random activity into purposeful communication from the throne room of heaven. I speak to my memory and command it to retain every divine dream, every heavenly vision, every supernatural encounter that occurs while I sleep. I will wake up tomorrow with clear recollection of what God showed me, taught me, and revealed to me through my dreams. But there's another dimension of dream authority that most people never consider. Your dreams don't just reflect your spiritual condition, they can actually change your spiritual condition. When you consistently dream blessed dreams, when you regularly experience divine encounters in your sleep, when you repeatedly receive heaven's perspective on your circumstances, it transforms how you think, feel, and respond during your waking hours. Peaceful dreams create peaceful people. Prophetic dreams produce confident believers. Divine encounters in sleep generate supernatural faith for daily challenges. The person who consistently dreams blessed dreams becomes someone who naturally expects miraculous interventions in every area of life. I declare that the blessed dreams I receive tonight will transform my perspective tomorrow. The prophetic visions I experience while sleeping will increase my faith for impossible situations. The divine encounters in my dreams will fill me with supernatural confidence for every challenge I face. Now seal this dream blessing with declarations that establish permanent patterns in your sleep experience. You're not just commanding tonight's dreams, you're creating spiritual momentum that will govern your dream life for years to come. From this night forward, every time I close my eyes to sleep, my dreams automatically align with God's perfect will for my life. Every dream becomes an opportunity for divine encounter, supernatural instruction, or prophetic revelation. My sleeping consciousness becomes a sacred space where heaven and earth meet in perfect harmony. As you finish this dream prayer, notice how different your bedroom feels. The atmosphere is charged with divine expectancy. Your pillow seems to beckon you toward encounters with the supernatural. Your bed feels like an altar where miraculous experiences are about to unfold. Lie back down and feel the profound peace that comes from knowing your dreams are now under divine authority. The random chaos that used to characterize your sleep has been replaced by purposeful spiritual activity. The meaningless images that once filled your dreams have been exchanged for divine communication that will guide your steps tomorrow. But we're not finished yet. There's one more area of your sleep experience that requires spiritual attention. And it might be the most important of all. The transition between waking and sleeping is a vulnerable time when spiritual forces often launch their most intense attacks. The moments when you're drifting off to sleep and the minutes when you're waking up are when many people experience their greatest anxiety, their most oppressive thoughts, their deepest fears. This transitional time is often when the enemy makes his last desperate attempt to steal your peace, plant discouraging thoughts, or fill you with dread about the coming day. But it's also when divine presence can minister most deeply to your spirit, when supernatural peace can settle most completely over your consciousness, when heaven's perspective can realign your thinking for victorious living. You're about to learn how to transform these transition moments from vulnerable attack points into powerful encounter opportunities. You're going to discover how to make the process of falling asleep and waking up into worship experiences that connect you directly with God's heart. Close your eyes and focus on the sensation of your body settling into rest. Feel your muscles relaxing, your breathing deepening, your heartbeat slowing to peaceful rhythms. This isn't just biological activity, this is your physical form surrendering to divine rest, your body yielding to supernatural restoration. As I drift into sleep, I surrender every concern to your faithfulness, Lord. I release every burden into your capable hands. I let go of every responsibility that I cannot control and trust you to work all things together for my good while I rest. Feel the liberation that comes when you consciously surrender control as you fall asleep. The need to figure everything out dissolves in the presence of infinite wisdom. The pressure to solve every problem melts away in the atmosphere of divine capability. The anxiety about tomorrow's challenges transforms into excitement about God's provision. I choose to fall asleep in worship, acknowledging your goodness in my life. I drift into rest while meditating on your faithfulness, your provision, your protection. My last conscious thoughts are filled with gratitude for who you are and what you've done for me. Now address the morning transition with the same spiritual intentionality. How you wake up sets the tone for your entire day. If you begin each morning in anxiety, you'll carry that energy into every interaction and decision. But if you wake up in worship, in gratitude, in divine perspective, you'll approach every challenge from a position of spiritual strength. I declare that when I wake up tomorrow morning, my first thoughts will be filled with praise for your mercies that are new every day. I will open my eyes with gratitude for the rest you've given me and expectancy for the victories you have prepared. I will rise with supernatural energy that comes from truly restorative sleep. But the most powerful part of this transitional prayer addresses something that most people never consider. The first few minutes after waking are when your consciousness is most receptive to spiritual impartation. Your mind is clear of the day's distractions. Your heart is open to divine input. Your spirit is most sensitive to heaven's voice. I establish the first moments of each morning as sacred time for divine encounter. Before I check my phone, before I think about my schedule, before I engage with the concerns of the day, I will spend time receiving your perspective, your peace, your strength for whatever lies ahead. This morning practice becomes the foundation for victorious days. When you begin each day connected to divine truth, when your first thoughts are aligned with heaven's perspective, when your initial emotions are rooted in God's love, everything else flows from that spiritual foundation. I declare that each morning I will wake up not just rested, but renewed, not just refreshed, but transformed, not just ready for the day, but equipped with supernatural wisdom, divine strength, and heavenly perspective for every situation I'll encounter. As you speak these final declarations over your sleep transitions, you're creating spiritual bookends that protect both the beginning and end of your rest. The enemy can no longer catch you off guard during vulnerable moments because you've established divine authority over every aspect of your sleep experience. Now, as your body settles into complete relaxation and your mind releases its grip on the day's concerns, as your spirit opens to receive everything heaven wants to pour into your life during these precious hours of rest, know that you have accomplished something truly remarkable tonight. You haven't just prepared for sleep, you've established dominion over every aspect of your rest. You haven't simply gotten ready for bed, you've created conditions for supernatural encounter. You haven't merely addressed insomnia or anxiety, you've transformed your entire relationship with sleep from struggle to sanctuary. The anxiety that used to grip you at bedtime has been replaced by divine peace. The racing thoughts that kept you awake have been silenced by spiritual authority. The restless tossing and turning has been exchanged for supernatural tranquility. The nightmares that tormented your dreams have been banned from your consciousness forever. But more than just solving sleep problems, you've discovered something far more valuable. You've learned that you carry within yourself the same spiritual authority that spoke the universe into existence. You've realized that you have the right and the power to command your circumstances instead of being controlled by them. You've understood that divine peace isn't something you hope for, it's something you possess and exercise. This revelation extends far beyond just your sleep experience. The spiritual authority you've exercised tonight can be applied to every area of your life. The peace you've established in your rest can be commanded in your relationships, your finances, your health, your career. The divine protection you've decreed over your sleep can be extended to your family, your home, your future. You are no longer a victim of circumstances beyond your control. You are someone who understands how to partner with heaven to change the spiritual atmosphere around any situation. You are no longer powerless against the forces that have been stealing your peace. You are equipped with divine authority that makes you dangerous to every plan of the enemy. Tonight marks the end of one season and the beginning of another. The season of restless nights, anxious days, and defeated living is officially over. The new season of supernatural sleep, peaceful days, and victorious living begins the moment your eyes close in blessed rest. Your head touches this pillow not as someone hoping for relief, but as someone who has commanded divine restoration with unshakable faith. Your breathing deepens not with uncertainty about the night ahead, but with complete confidence in the God who never slumbers nor sleeps, but watches over you with perfect love. The last thing you think about tonight won't be tomorrow's challenges, but today's victories. The final emotion you feel before sleep takes hold won't be worry about unfinished business, but gratitude for divine faithfulness. The closing thought of your conscious mind won't be fear about the future, but excitement about the supernatural encounters awaiting you in blessed dreams. And when morning comes, when the sun rises on a new day filled with infinite possibilities, when you open your eyes feeling more rested than you've felt in years, you'll know beyond any doubt that everything has changed. You'll rise not just from sleep, but from limitation into liberty, from anxiety into authority, from defeat into divine victory. Your transformation is complete, your victory is secured, your blessed future begins tonight. Sleep well, beloved child of the Most High. Rest in the peace that is your inheritance. Dream dreams filled with heaven's hope. And wake up tomorrow ready to walk in the supernatural authority you've discovered, equipped with the divine peace you've established, prepared for victories that will astound even you. The battle for your sleep is over, and you have emerged completely victorious. The war against your peace has ended in your total triumph. From this moment forward, you don't just go to sleep. You go to bed blessed, protected, positioned for supernatural encounter with the God who delights in visiting his children in the quiet hours of the night. Your blessed sleep journey begins now, and nothing will ever be the same. The enemy trembles at the thought of someone who truly knows how to sleep in divine authority. Heaven celebrates as another child learns to rest in perfect peace, and you drift into the most transformative sleep of your entire life, knowing that you are deeply loved, thoroughly protected, and destined for breakthrough. Tomorrow, you wake up dangerous to every force that has been working against your destiny. Tonight, you sleep blessed, and that makes all the difference in the world.